All right, so listen, you know how this goes, right? Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Listen, man, we starting out tonight with, I don't know, like one of the drinks that I don't want to say it's my favorite, but it's a go-to, especially for breakfast. Orange juice, simply orange. Like, I don't know how did I miss this or been living under a rock and the whole Coca-Cola lawsuit situation, all this type of stuff like that, but I didn't know.
I hear about this. Coca-Cola sued for claims that its all-natural Simply Orange juice has high levels of toxic chemicals. Hey, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even know Coca-Cola owned them. I'm curious now. So apparently Simply Orange juice has been found to be contaminated with toxic PFAS at levels hundreds of times above federal advisory limits for drinking water. PFAS are a class of 12,000 chemicals called forever chemicals because they do not naturally break down and they link to cancer, fetal complications, liver disease, kidney disease, autoimmune disorders, and more. This suit was filed in the Southern District of New York. The complaint is its packaging and branding mentions all natural ingredients and nothing to hide, which is alleged to be misleading because it has synthetic chemicals that make it not natural. What's y'all thought on this? Do you even drink this orange juice? Do you even care about these claims?
Like whoever is at the head of our simulation, who's at the control panel, and hit the expose button that's hitting the expose on all the chemicals and companies that are putting chemicals in this foods and drinks, we appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you right now.
All right, if you guys haven't heard about this is a huge wake-up call to everyone that grocery shops. So everyone. Coca-Cola got sued because it claims that this orange juice, Simply Orange, is completely all natural, but they're getting sued because it has found high levels of toxic PFA chemicals in them, which can lead to increased risk in cancer.
All natural is the reason why we started drinking it. You get what I'm saying? Like, with people saying organic means nothing now, all natural was another reason some of us were drinking that orange juice, because it said all natural, false advertisement.
What else does Coca-Cola own? Well, take a look. All of these drinks, including Dasani and Smart Water, people think that those are reliable, good, healthy waters. No, wrong. This is why you can't drink plastic water. You just can't. Instead, buy yourself a water filter. Yeah, it's expensive, but it'll last you forever, and what's more important than your health? Secondly, you shouldn't even be drinking any of this. Like, what is this? If you're gonna get a flavored drink, just get coconut water, bro. It's so sweet and rich and completely natural. Or at Whole Foods, they have a literal orange juice squeezer where you can squeeze the orange juice yourself.
Simply Orange juice, healthy and delicious, right? Wrong. Coca-Cola, which owns Simply Orange, which is of no surprise, recently had a massive lawsuit against them for the PFAS chemicals that are in this Simply Orange. They're absolutely toxic to your body. So what is actually in this and what is it doing to your body? Well, the PFAS chemical...
Look at the pink bottle at the bottom, bro. And to get the flavors that mix, oh my gosh. Even the one up here at the top. You get the different flavors that mix. Don't many little alcoholic drinks, mix them up, man. Oh my God. Oh, bro, this one cut deep. This one cut deep for real.
Chemicals found in Simply Orange were hundreds of times above the federal limit and therefore the lawsuit. Known to cause cancer, thyroid problems, compromise the immune system. So guys, stay away from Simply Orange and frankly, stay away from any Coca-Cola product. Follow me for more information.
Something is poisoning the American people, and we know that the primary culprits are changing food supply, the switch to highly chemical intensive processed foods. We have 10,000 ingredients in our country, in our foods. The Europeans have only 400. If you buy McDonald's French fries in our country, there's 11 ingredients, my understanding. In Europe, there's only 3. If you buy Fruit Loops in our country, they're loaded with food dyes, with yellow dye, red dye, blue dye, and many other ingredients. The same company makes the same product with different ingredients for Canada and Europe. And at age, we don't have good science on all these things. And that is deliberate. That's a deliberate choice not to study the things that are truly making us sick, that are not only contributing to chronic disease, but to mortalities from infectious disease. We need to get a handle on this, because if we don't, it's an existential threat. Our country is not going to be destroyed because we get the marginal tax rate wrong, or because we get one of these culture war issues that we've been talking about today wrong. It's going to be destroyed if we continue down this trajectory of chronic disease. We need to fix our food supply, and that's the number one. So something is poison.
How is that even allowed? How is that allowed? What? Who? When did it be okay for a company to say, hey, I know y'all don't like it this way, so we're going to give y'all what y'all, hey, y'all get the bad stuff. Like, how is that even allowed? It shouldn't be. And even if it's allowed, it should be huge red flags to say, why are they only getting this amount of ingredients and the American people are getting all these other ingredients? Then he said 400 to 10,000. 400 for their food only allowed. And we got over 10,000. That's a problem. Rest in peace. I wonder, have they made the announcement if everyone has been recovered yet? Of all the bodies that have been recovered and turned over to the families. I'm gonna look that up when I get off this video.
Donald Trump is now being targeted by the cyber attackers Anonymous. They've declared, quote, total war on the billionaire and now claim to have hacked him and released some of his private information.
Thank you.
Now is the time to unite to fight fascism, to show that we are very serious about stopping any proposed fourth right by the fascist Donald Trump. We have attached a gift, of sorts, Trump's social security number, cell phone number and other details that might be able to assist you all in independently investigating this would-be dictator.
For more on this, we bring in ABC News senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas. He's in Washington this morning. Good morning, Pierre.
Wait. This is real? This is real. I started thinking, because you can never really tell these days. I was like, okay, is this AI just playing around or something like that? Trust me, I know who Anonymous is. That's one group you do not play with. You do not play with them. But I was thinking this was, whoa, if this is real.
Good morning, Robin. Donald Trump appears to have a new adversary, not political, but a potentially formidable one, Anonymous, known for its aggressive hacking. In that video, Anonymous claims it has secured some of Donald Trump's personal and private information and is blasting it over the internet, something it hopes will make Mr. Trump's life miserable. Overnight, the Trump campaign released a statement acknowledging the attempt, saying authorities are seeking the arrest of the people responsible for attempting to illegally hack Mr. Trump's accounts and telephone information. So this is being treated seriously, Robin.
And Pierre, what are we hearing from the government, the response from the government? What can they do?
We've confirmed that federal agents are pursuing this hacking, but investigations like this are notoriously complicated and they typically take a long time to resolve. And Anonymous, by all accounts, is pretty good at covering his trail. But Mr. Trump, given his wealth, has a strong cybersecurity dome to protect himself and limit the damage. So we expect this to be an ongoing battle.
Donald Trump is now being
Yeah, apparently this is real. And if you don't know who Anonymous is or aren't familiar, I've done several videos about them on this channel. Just go through the archive and check it out. Fam, this gets crazy. This is about to be crazy if they seek to pursue or go after him or expose. I know Trump got a lot of money, but I hope he knows who he up against.
This morning, President Trump finalizing plans to gut the Department of Education. Sources tell ABC News the president now weighing an executive order to direct his education secretary to submit a proposal to dismantle the agency and call on Congress to eliminate it, fulfilling a campaign promise.
Your state is going to control your children's education. We're moving it out of Washington.
Education is primarily a state and local responsibility already, but the Department of Education does serve more than 50 million students at about 130,000 public and private schools, providing billions to aid students with disabilities and also to schools in low-income communities. President Trump has put billionaire Elon Musk in charge of shrinking the federal government, and the Education Department is a top target. Sources tell ABC News a handful of representatives from Musk's Department of Government Efficiency were spotted inside the Education Department on Monday. Musk is already serving as a special government employee. His team already has access to the vast federal payment system and now has also seized control.
Why did that picture look like an album cover?
Access to the
Why he got this gangster pose and he got this rock star looking pose? Why does this look like an album cover? Like they about to drop an album or something like that.
The vast federal payment system, and now has also seized control of USAID, the agency that provides U.S. humanitarian assistance around the world, locking out employees, essentially shutting it down. Members of Musk's team showed up at those offices, demanding access.
The Doge was in the building. We took down our pride flags. I took out any books I felt would be incriminating. No one was talking.
This morning, workers warned once again to stay home. USAID has a $43 billion budget, about 1% of what the federal government spends. President Trump says Musk won't do anything without approval from the White House.
Elon can't do and won't do anything without our approval, and we'll give him the approval where appropriate.
Democrats warn
Elon Musk did not create USAID. He doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are.
Republicans responding with this message.
To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow.
This morning, President Trump finalized.
Now, I know this is going to be an uproar for people in conversation, and I'm down to have it. Because we've had the conversation about what are they doing for our kids before. We've had that conversation before about our kids' education. What has been going on? I just showed you a video that I reacted to of a lady going off, sitting in her car, talking about how our kids can't read, write, or do any of the skills needed to be able to be promoted up through these grades. But they're being socially promoted just because, or being taught just to be able to take a test. And we've all talked about different things that needs to be in the schools, teaching you about taxes, teaching you about insurance, teaching you about money and different things that you're gonna need, the actual skills you're gonna need in the real world that aren't being taught. So let's hear it. Don't only come up with a gripe, come up with a solution. That's the only way I'm listening to somebody. Because if you don't agree with what's going on, what is your solution?
So Trump is preparing to sign an executive order that could abolish the Department of Education. Now, that's not how that is supposed to work. However, this is Donald Trump. He does what he wants. According to an interview that Donald Trump did back in October when he was running to be president, he said that it was his plan to abolish the Department of Education and give the power back to the states, which is how it was before the Department of Education was created. All of you clearly have questions on just what exactly the Department of Education does and what a world without the Department of Education could look like. I refer you to a video that I posted back in October. Let's all watch it together. So Trump says he plans on closing the Department of Education, but what does that really mean? Yeah, that's what this chit chat is about. Come on. The Department of Education was established in 1979 with a few goals in mind. Number one, they wanted to improve and centralize federal oversight of education. Number two, they wanted to enhance educational equity. And number three, they wanted to ensure better access to quality education for everybody. You can see yourself like, yuck, ugh, throw it in the trash. Said nobody ever except Donald Trump. There are like a whole slew of reasons as to why the Department of Education was actually formed, but there are a few key reasons. After World War II, the federal government started being heavily interested in higher education, thus things like the GI Bill and the National Defense Education Act were created. You also had the Civil Rights Movement, which gave birth to things like Brown versus the Board of Education. It also gave way to the Elementary and Secondary Act, which forced the government to address educational inequities in low-income areas. And then there was the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. In 1970, there was an uptick in recognition that kids with disabilities weren't getting adequate education. So in the 1980s, when the Department of Education began operating, it began to administer and enforce programs that would help provide adequate education for students with disabilities. I want to get into a little bit of the budget, right? Okay, so let's drop down to the green. Title I grants. This is a grant that provides funding to schools with large percentages of kids from low-income families. Imagine $14.41 billion gone off the budget. And let's drop down to the yellow. Remember the Individuals with Disability Acts? Okay, so they're getting about $13 billion currently, but all of that would be gone as well. Department of Education also provides Pell Grant funding, so that is almost $29 billion going. Oh, I'm sorry, what are Pell Grants? Pell Grants go to students from low-income families who are pursuing higher education. And then you have almost $24 billion in student loan programs. Raise your hand if you applied for a student loan to go to college. Yeah, like, because who's paying for college out of pocket? Not a lot of people. And in that other column, things like your free after-school program, things like free lunch for low-income students all go inside of that budget. Things like civil rights, making sure that universities and schools don't discriminate because of your age, race, gender, or sexual orientation.
And I'll take it a step further because I'm for all of that type of stuff, right? But I'll take it a step further, right? After school tutoring, all of that type of stuff like that. I don't know if she mentioned that. I might have missed it, but if she didn't, that's heavily needed because we all know I was a kid that needed after school attention because I didn't pay attention during school. So I kind of needed that one-on-one where I didn't have friends and everybody around me where I could focus. You know what I mean? But those programs, do y'all still see those programs? Probably not. Not like probably when we had it, when we were going to school, it was heavily utilized. And nowadays, teachers probably don't even want to do it. They're exhausted. Think about how many students there are to teachers, the ratio these days, and it's not enough teachers. They're overworked, underpaid. So again, all of that stuff is needed, plus a change is needed. So while all that stuff is good, but what are we going to do to fix the issue? Like the way we've been going with the Department of Ed just hasn't been working. So I'm not saying what they're doing is 100% right, but we do need to come up with some type of a solution to fix the problem that we all know is in the education system.
You tell me, should we be closing the Department of Education or should we just not be voting for the person who wants to close the Department of Education? Let's chit chat.
So Orange Man just announced another executive order ripped straight out of Project 2025. This time it's like we all dreaded, canceling or defunding the Department of Education. Now I don't really know how he's going to implement that or what the details behind that are going to be, but what we do know is how the Department of Education is so crucial to our country. That's because it helps with things like preventing discrimination in the education field. It helps collect data. That way we know what key issues we should be studying or what information isn't as important. And of course, it helps distribute financial aid and create the policies based around that to help everyday Americans finance their education. It's obviously not a good thing, especially without a backup plan, to just strip it. And I don't really know what's going to happen here, but I just wanted to let you guys know, keep you updated. Orange Man has struck again.
That's another thing. If they're going to take it away, what are we putting in its place? That would be a question that's high on my priority list to figure out, okay, what are they? Because that's what's not being said. And that could be the thing that has a lot of people up in arms. You're saying you're going to do away with this, but you don't say what you're putting in its place or what's the solution here. I think the breakdown of communication is becoming a problem too.
Meta's chief AI executive has finally admitted what I've been saying for years. He admits that Silicon Valley has a huge superiority complex. They think that their small tribe has a monopoly on all of the good ideas. And because they think this, many people there genuinely believe that anything that outperforms them must have been obtained by cheating. Even though some of what they call cheating makes no sense at all. For Silicon Valley, a level playing field is cheating. Remember Silicon Valley saying that DeepSeek using the exact same hardware was cheating? Even though DeepSeek used more than 10 times less hardware, using the exact same chips was cheating. What a bunch of spoiled monopolistic crybabies. At least one person has the courage to admit it. Because you can't improve a problem unless you're willing to confront it. Another ridiculous accusation, DeepSeek stole OpenAI's stolen data to become better than them and 20 to 50 times more efficient. How does that even work? That said, some of the top minds in Silicon Valley are coming right out and agreeing with the D3 list. For months on this show, I've been saying Silicon Valley is anti-competitive. I made a video saying as much just a few days ago. I've also said that they have not been innovating, and we can all see the truth now that DeepSeek and several other better models have come out. People who've just been cheerleaders for Silicon Valley and who have not admitted this truth sooner, you just make the D3 list, a podcast about dumb, desperate, and diabolical business decisions.
Oh yeah, don't forget about the orbs. That's what they want us to do. Don't forget about the orbs. They're still around.
So there's clearly a new scam going around, but I just don't know what the scam is. Like, I don't know what the play is. Yesterday, I get a call from a regular LA number. It's not scam likely. It's not no caller ID. It's a regular number. I answer the phone. I'm like, hello. They say, hey, this is the police. I have your brother. They say my brother's full legal name. I have your brother, and you're listed as emergency contact. So I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? They say he has T-boned a lady at an intersection, and she's in critical condition. And we have your brother, and he's about to go to jail because he was found at fault due to being distracted, like texting or something. So you can imagine how, like, shocked I was. So I'm like, oh my God, is he okay? What happened? They said he's okay, but he's being arrested, and they're taking him down to jail right now. But he's asked them to call me first because I'm the emergency contact. So I'm like, oh my God, what the f? So then I'm like, where did the accident happen? And then this is where they slipped up. They say, at first they go, Alpharetta? And then I said, huh? Because Alpharetta is my hometown in Atlanta, in Georgia. So I'm like, how could it have happened in Alpharetta? He picked me up from the airport in LA yesterday, because we both live out here now. So I'm like, huh? And then they say, no, it happened in LA. It happened in LA. So I quickly texted my brother, and I'm like, yo, where are you at? He's like, I'm in East LA. What's good? I was like, oh my God, it's a scam. But now I want to figure out, like, what the scam is, like, what they're going to get out of this. So I asked them, okay, so what do you need from me? They're like, you need to come bail him out of jail. I'm like, okay, where's the jail? They gave me the address, 100 West 1st Street. And I looked it up. That's the address to the LA County courthouse. So I'm like, what was going to be the play? Like, do I get there? Like, I honestly don't know what their goal was. So there's clearly a new scam going around, but
Listen, man, do not answer. I repeat, do not answer the phone. Because you can imagine if she wouldn't have thought to ask some of the questions, or she didn't text her brother to verify, and she just went along with this. Because I want to know, like, what was the play there too? Normally, they tell you in a situation like that, you're going to have to wait. He's going to go down there. They're going to issue him a bond. You may have to contact a bondsman, or you may be able to pay it directly there at the jail or on the phone to the jail and not have to go through a bondsman. Yes, I've had to. You get what I'm saying? So I'm familiar. But what was going to be their play? But see, somebody older, you see why they target somebody older who may not ask those questions, who you may get all flustered and upset and stressed out because now they're worried what's going to happen to their grandchild. So they're willing to do whatever. And as soon as you say, okay, you could pay like this, and then we'll have them out in an hour and whatever, however long it takes, somebody will go ahead and pay that. Like, this, don't answer the phone.
President Trump unleashing an immigration enforcement machine, carrying out his promise to secure our southern border and the northern one. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is visiting active duty military in El Paso, Texas, who are working alongside now Border Patrol agents. They've been there. The numbers are getting bigger per Trump. We have new images of the United States Marines arriving at Guantanamo Bay, where violent illegal immigrants will be detained. Also this, the Trump administration has been working round the clock to round up and deport criminal illegals on flights out of our country. Trump's crackdown has also sparked protesting across the country. In Dallas, people taking to the streets waving Mexican flags. In Los Angeles, police in riot gear forming a human barricade to shut down a protest that was blocking the busy 101 freeway. And in another surprising video, protesters burned the American flag. Well, whose side are they on? There you have it.
So you decide at 9 o'clock in the morning, a social media post went out that said protest, and the police let 101 freeway, with everything that the trauma that everything that Los Angeles has been through, traffic anyway, on a Sunday, now they let them shut down an unpermitted protest until 6 o'clock at night. It's unbelievable. And then to understand the Mexican flag and El Salvador flag is not going to sell your story. Your story is, I feel like an American, I've been here. Instead, you're saying, I feel like a Mexican and I deserve to take over here. One of the signs said, America's on stolen land anyway. That's not going to win over today's America. That might have been fantastic in 2020. We're not buying it now. So between that and what's happening with Rubio pushing to shut down the Darien Gap, the Venezuela taking back their people, what is happening on so many different ways, there is a massive crackdown in America on illegal immigration.
Can we just talk for a second about the Darien Gap? That's going to save a lot of lives of women and children in particular. That is some of the most harshest ground to traverse on the planet. And they're
Colombia
bringing
should play a role too.
Little ones coming through. So to hear that Secretary Rubio is concentrating on that is a miracle, really.
There's so many balls in the air.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I hate seeing this. I hate seeing this, bro. Hate seeing people go through this. I hate the back and forth. I hate the conflict. I hate it all. I do. Because it's not, you can get online and spew hate back towards them, and soon as you get in that position and feel how it feels, you'll understand what people are going through. Whether you believe it's right or wrong anyway, again, at the end of the day, it's a human being. A human being. So I hate to see that, bro. It's families, it's kids, this is it. Bro, waking up and getting online some days can be very depressing. Waking up and seeing the news sometimes can be very depressing. And if you don't stay abreast of what's going on, then you're clueless as to what could be about to happen to you in your life. So I wish I knew the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the left, for as much as they care about the humanitarian aspect of immigration, tons of people came through the Darien Gap and lost their lives, to your exact point. That image that we see in Los Angeles, LAPD was ready to engage and arrest folks if necessary. They weren't able to do that. And Bill Malhusian says he spoke to the rank and file, and they said, this is the same old crap. We're chasing these guys down around all day for absolutely nothing. And this is what we're seeing. I mean, this is resisting Trump. There you're seeing it in LA. You go over to Chicago, and apparently there are these groups where when they see ICE come in these black SUVs, they mobilize. And ICE was actually not able to make an arrest in Chicago on that day because the community mobilized. But who are you mobilizing to support? The guy in Boston who had a second-degree murder charge? The guy in San Antonio who was found with a murder weapon from an unsolved murder last November, who was, by the way, released by Biden into the interior? Who exactly are you protecting? How about the guy in Buffalo, who is someone who was accused of all kinds of sexual trafficking and was found with an innocent young woman who he is believed to be trafficking at that moment? This is who we're going after. So work with us to protect the innocent and act humanitarianly by stopping some of the things that we're seeing.
Yeah, the worst go first. Like, who would defend against that, Marie?
Well, the Trump team has been telling us that the worst go first. And I've said on this network...
Well, there's a lot of transparency. I mean, we see
I've said on this network many times, I support convicted criminals being deported. We saw from some of those early flights to Colombia that it included pregnant women. It included children.
Did they come over illegally?
It included, but they had not been convicted of crimes.
No, the first crime is when you break our law of sovereignty.
The Trump team said it will be the hardened criminals, the people Kayleigh mentioned, convicted of violent crimes.
And if they are with other illegals who cross the border?
Are we okay deporting pregnant women who have not committed a crime except for coming here? If we are, then we should say that. The Trump team should say that. Second, freedom of expression and protest is still legal in this country. We may not like it. Yeah. And to Brian's point, I think you make a good point about who are they trying to convince here, right? Who are they trying to convince? I think some of the most effective arguments I've seen made are, for example, people in the restaurant industry, people in the home healthcare industry, industries that rely on immigrants, both legal, undocumented people going through the system and are willing to work with law enforcement to say, look, parts of this entire city we are sitting in would shut down if every person who came here illegally was deported. So how do we do this in a way that, to Kayleigh's point, protects people from criminals, doesn't shut down major parts of the economy, including the agriculture sector? That's the challenge right now.
Emily.
Number one,
and I agree with that, as long as you're not only doing it just because you want to use them. Like, I don't want nobody using me, so as long as you need me, I'm of use to you, then you'll work with me. But as soon as I become no use for you and no need, then you want to discard and deport. Like, come on. Like, I'm never a fan of you just using somebody. So trying to figure out a way where both sides win. You know, they become legal. They get here. They chase the American dream and everything else. And if we could figure out a way to do it the right way, then let's do it.
Protesting on a freeway is always illegal. That's not protected protest, especially non-permitted protest. But secondly, I hear what you're saying, but I feel like we always talk about this, that I think it's a fallacious argument always. It's sort of like saying, if I can't afford to pay my taxes, you know, what am I going to do? Like, I have to do it this way because I can't afford it otherwise. There will be short-term pain as we readjust things. But the notion that the first foundational argument is, well, we rely on illegal immigration in these particular industries doesn't fly, because the American industry is still suffering then if it's not honest labor. And there's a lot of unemployed Americans that then, or legal immigrants that then could be selected for such. I'm not going to bless an argument where the premise relies on the backs of illegal immigrants. And I think to your point, you know, we've seen communities rally in the past around protecting themselves from horrific people like Larry Singleton and Richard Ramirez, you know, the Night Stalker, right? And to see the communities rally around so misguidedly these recidivist criminals is horrifying to me, because it means that the message has landed in a way that is so toxic and perverted. And when you see them burning the American flag, well, if it sucks here, you don't have to stay. But the reality is, not only is that anti-American, it's pro-cartel. So everyone waving the Mexican flags and everyone shutting down the LA freeway, you are telling me you align yourselves with the cartels above anything else.
So this mayor decides you can't get to your home in Pacific Palisades, it's too dangerous, but make sure the cops don't get the illegal immigrants out of the streets to block the 101 freeway. And they are begging you to leave Los Angeles. You should do that.
Breaking our initial law, whether you are, whatever your health or medical situation is, as you were pointing out, Marie, is breaking our laws to get into the country. And I know during the lead up to the election, people on your side of the aisle did not agree with Republicans on the fact that the first law broken is when you don't legally belong in this country. So I get it. We'll have a different discussion about pregnant women with birthright citizenship. Trump is open for that discussion.